everybody, it's crabedh here, and today we have an extremely good, extremely fun Koma Cosmos Serpent EDH deck. So Koma was just spoiled from Kaldheim and has some awesome abilities. So Koma is a 3 green, green, blue, blue, so 7 mana, legendary 6/6 Serpent that can't be countered, and at the beginning of each upkeep, we get a 3/3 blue Serpent creature token named Koma's Coil, and we can sacrifice another Serpent to either tap target permanent, its activated abilities can't be activated this turn, or to give Koma indestructible until end of turn. So this can create a crazy amount of tokens, very hard to get rid of, and can be very mean by tapping down everything. It's really fun. So what this deck wants to do is we want to make a bunch more tokens, overwhelm our opponents like that, ramp up a lot, draw a ton of cards with huge spells that we're using our ramp to cast, and to cast other big sea creatures because Koma is a serpent, so that's kind of fitting. And let me tell you, this deck is nastily good. I did some play tests of this deck, and I was like amazed about how good this deck was. It's really crazy, and it just has so much cards, so much just crazy cynic stuff happening. So let's get into it. For ramp, we've got Soul Ring, costs 1, taps for 2 colorless. Then we have Burgeoning, which costs a green. Whenever an opponent plays a land, we can choose a land from our hand and put it into play. Untapped, very nice, can get us a lot of lands from our hand. Simic Signet, costs 1 and taps for a green, a blue. Sakura Tribolder, we can sack it to search our library for a basic and put it into play tapped. Rampant Growth, searches our library for a basic and puts it into play tapped. 3 Visits, searches our library for a forest, and we put that into play untapped. Cultivate, searches our library for 2 basics, puts one of them into play tapped and the other into our hand. Harvest Season, search your library for up to X basic land cards, where X is the number of tapped creatures you control, and put those lands onto the battlefield tapped. So this can get us a lot of lands after we've attacked with our giant army. Circuitous Route, search your library for 2 basics or gates and put them into play tapped. Explosive Vegetation, same thing, search your library for 2 basics and put them into play tapped. Migration Path, again, same thing, search your library for 2 basics and put them into play tapped. And then we can cycle it for 2. Ranger's Path searches our library for 2 forests and puts them onto the battlefield tapped. Then we shuffle. Skyshroud Claim searches our library for 2 forests and puts them into play untapped. Then we shuffle, so it's pretty nice. Then Hour of Promise searches our library for 2 basics, not basics. Sorry, they don't have to be basics, so 2 non-basics and puts them onto the battlefield tapped. Nissa's Renewal searches our library for 3 basics, puts them into play tapped, and then we gain 7 life, so it can get 3 basics and we gain 7 life. Very good card. Boundless Realm searches our library for X basics, where X is the number of lands you control, and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Crazy big ramp spell. Can get us a lot. And then we have Reshape the Earth, 6 green, green, green. Search your library for up to 10 non-basic or basic land cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. 10! It's crazy. It's crazy. And for creatures, oh, and also Reshape the Earth. It'll be very, it's not that unrealistic to play, because we can easily get that with all the ramp in the deck. Get to 9 mana. So we have Nadir Kraken. Whenever you draw a card, you can pay 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on Nadir Kraken and create a 1/1 blue tentacle creature token. So we're going to be drawing a lot of cards, and this can really make a lot of tentacles, which creates tokens, which is what we want. Michaeloth, another crazy token creator. Devour 2, as it enters, we sacrifice any number of creatures. This enters the battlefield with twice that many +1/+1 counters on it. So at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token for each counter +1/+1 counter on Michaeloth. Each. It's crazy. We can sacrifice a bunch of our tokens to give Michaeloth a bunch of counters, and then we get so many saplings on our turn. Sandbar Serpent. You know, I like a little bit of jank. 4 and a blue for a 3/4 Serpent that can be cycled for 2. It's a Serpent. I want it. You can make a janky version of this deck where it's Serpent Tribal. If you want a Serpent Tribal deck, comment down below. But yeah, just a little bit of jankiness. Storm Surge Kraken, 5/5 with Hexproof. As long as you control your commander gets +2/+2, and when it becomes blocked, you may draw 2 cards. Tendershoot Dryad, ascend if you control 10 or more permanents, you get the City's Blessing for the rest of the game. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token, so we get more tokens. And saplings you control get +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing. Then we have AC, Tyrant of Gyre Strait. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. So this can draw us a bunch of cards whenever a land enters, and it is a Serpent. Consecrated Sphinx. Whenever an opponent draws a card, you may draw 2 cards. And it's a 4/6 flyer. It's an amazing card. Rampaging Baloths. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 4/4 green beast creature token. So a lot of tokens. That's what we want. And it's a 6/6 trampler. Serpent of Yawning Depths. Krakens, Leviathans, Octopuses, and Serpents you control can't be blocked except by Krakens, Leviathans, Octopus, and Serpents. And we have a bunch of those in this deck. And also, all of our nice little 3/3s that we're creating with Koma are Serpents. So Serpent of Yawning Depths makes all of them unblockable. It's nasty. Giant Adphage. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Giant Adphage. So we're creating tokens that are copies of itself. Hornet Queen. When it enters, we create 4 1/1 insect creature tokens with flying and death touch. Big, fun card. I love this card. Scourge of Fleets. When it enters, return each creature you control with your opponent's control with toughness extra X to their owner's hand, where X is the number of islands you control. Pretty nice. Simic Sky Swallower. 6/6 flying, trample, and shroud, Leviathan. Nice big creature that we can play. Lorthos, the Tide Maker. 5 blue, blue, blue. For a legendary 8/8 octopus. I love it. When it attacks, we can pay 8 generic mana. If we do, tap up to 8 target permanents, and they don't untap during their controller's next untap step. Brutal, brutal 8/8 legendary octopus. So awesome. Tidal Kraken. Tidal Kraken is unblockable. Love that art. And it's a 6/6. Verdant Force. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. So this is, again, creating more tokens on each upkeep. Inkwell Leviathan. 7 blue, blue. And it's an 7/11 with Island Walk, Trample, and Shroud. Pretty nasty card to deal with. And for spells, we've got Gelatinous Genesis. XX green. Create XXX green ooze creature tokens. Love this card. We can dump all of our mana into this, and we get a bunch of huge oozes. Heroic Intervention. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. I found that this can be very useful, because once you have your huge board established, the first thing your opponents want to do is board wipe. And then you're just like, nope, I got the Heroic Intervention, sorry. Then we got Mind Spring. X blue, blue, draw X cards. Another thing we can dump all our mana into and draw a bunch of cards. Stroke of Genius, same thing, but it says target player draws X cards, and it's an instant. Whelming Wave. Return all creatures to their owner's hand except for Krakens, Leviathans, Octopus, and Serpents. So this returns pretty much all of our opponent's creatures to their hands, and we have no blockers, and we can just hit our opponents with a lot. Rishkar's Expertise. And we draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. And you may cast a card with CMC 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Pretty nice. We get to draw a lot of cards, and we get to cast something with CMC 5 or less for free. Very nice. Overflowing Insight. Target player draws 7 cards. 4 blue, blue, blue. This is not that big of a spell in terms of the amount of mana we have, and can draw us a lot of cards. Then for artifacts, we have Basilisk Collar. Equip creature has Death Touch and Lifelink, and equip 2. We can equip this on one of our big creatures if we're low life total. That's pretty nice. Idol of Oblivion. This is some nice little synergies here. 2 mana artifact, and we can tap it to draw a card. When we can only activate that ability if we create a token this turn. But we are creating a token every turn with Koma. So this will always be able to tap to draw a card. Pretty nice. 2 mana, tap, draw a card. I say that's pretty good. And late game, if we don't need the cards, we can pay 8 and sack it to create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token. Then we have Lightning Greaves, which gives equip creature haste and shroud and equip 0. Koma is going to be a very large threat, so we can equip this onto Koma to give it shroud. Mirror Shield. 2 mana, equip 2, and it gives Koma plus O+2 and hexproof, again, preventing our opponents from targeting. Swift Foot Boots, exact same thing. Equipped creature has hexproof and haste. Then we have Lockset on Warhammer, also giving lifelink, which can really gain us a lot of life when our life is low. Helm of the Host. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a copy of equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary, and the equipped creature is legendary. So if we equip this after Koma, every one of our combats, we're creating a copy of Koma that's not legendary, so the legend rule doesn't apply. And we're gonna get like three serpents a turn. Oh my gosh. It gets really out of hand. Coat of Arms. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares a creature type with it, so all our serpents will get +1/+1 for each other serpent on the battlefield. Really can pop them up. Then for enchantments, we've got Aqueous Form. Equipped creature can't be blocked, and when an enchanted creature attacks, scry 1. So, giving one of our big creatures unblockable, that can swing in for a lot of damage, and we get to scry. Aid of Eternal, same thing, gets +1/+1, can't be blocked. Ominous Seas. Whenever we draw a card, put a 4 shadow counter on Ominous Seas, and we can remove 8 4 shadow counters from Ominous Seas to create an 8/8 blue Kraken, and we can cycle it for 2. So this can create a lot of tokens, considering the amount of cards we're going to be drawing. Growing Rights of Itlamok. When it enters, we look at the top 4 cards of our library. We may reveal a creature card from among them and put them into our hand, and then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, transform Growing Rights of Itlamok, and it becomes Itlamok Cradle of the Sun, which is basically just a better Gaia's Cradle. And it taps for green, or it can tap for green for each creature you control. Crazy good card. Amazing. Paradox Haze. At the beginning of enchanted creatures upkeep, first upkeep each turn, that player gets an additional upkeep step after this step. So we can equip enchant ourselves, and we get 2 upkeeps, so Koma triggers twice. Pretty cool card. Rhystic Study. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. This can draw us a crazy amount of cards, because usually our opponents will not want to pay that 1. I love that. It's really good. Rhystic Study is very good. Squirrel Nest. Enchanted land has tap, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. Love it. Creating 1/1 squirrels. I love it. Parallel Lives. If an effect would put 1 or more tokens on the battlefield under your control, you put twice that many tokens, doubling our tokens. Amazing. Reconnaissance Mission. Whenever a creature you control does combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. Can draw us a lot of cards. Doubling Season. It doubles all the counters we put on stuff we control and all the tokens we create, so more doubling tokens. Verdant Embrace. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3, and at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green sapling, so this is more each upkeep token stuff. Mind Unbound. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a lore counter on Mind Unbound, and then draw a card for each lore counter on Mind Unbound. This can really, really get out of hand. Really draw so many cards. It's a very underrated card, I think. Can draw so many cards. Zendikar Resurgent. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add another mana of what the land produced. So we're doubling all our mana from our lands. And whenever we cast a creature spell, draw a card. Insane, value, awesomeness. And then for mana base, we've got Breeding Pool, which enters tap, which is a forest island. So all of our things that can say search your library for a forest can search for Breeding Pool. And when it enters, we can pay 2 life. If we do, it enters untapped, and it taps for either of our colors. Flooded Grove taps for colorless, and we can pay green or a blue and tap it to add green, blue, or blue. So those can really filter our mana nicely. Hinterland Harbor enters tapped unless we control a forest or an island, and it taps for green or blue. Temple of Mystery enters tapped. When it enters, we scry 1. Pretty nice. Then we have Waterlogged Grove. We can pay 1 life to add green or blue, and we can pay 1 and sack it to draw a card. And then we're running 16 forests and 16 islands, and don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment all the good stuff, and I will see you next time.